Kravitz. If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good evening and welcome to episode 263 of the HHH Racing Podcast. I am your proud host, Howard Kravitz. Thank you very much for joining us tonight as we're going to be doing many things, including previewing the huge day at Churchill Downs Saturday. It is Stephen Foster preview day. Of course, the grade one Stephen Foster is next month, but they have several graded stakes on tap on Saturday. And then later on, Jim Miller of Hawthorne Racecourse will be here to talk about the late pick 4 on Sunday at Hawthorne. There's also going to be a carryover in the pick 5, I believe, Sunday at Hawthorne. So, and there's contests coming up as well. Lots to discuss. We're going to very quickly go through some of the promotions here because, of course, we all know the NBA finals are on in approximately an hour and 10 minutes. So we're going to whip through some things very quickly. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter. Well, first you need to subscribe on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. Then you can follow me on Twitter right there at HKravitz. Hit that notification bell, please, so you know when new content will rise. Also, smash that like button. That will help the YouTube algorithm send people here to the HHH Racing Podcast. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. We greatly appreciate that. We're going to have 2 Power Picks next week. If you have not subscribed to the Power Picks, now is the time to do it. We're going to have a special edition for Friday's huge day of stakes racing at Belmont Park, a week from Friday. And then, of course, for the Belmont Stakes, how about 9 graded stakes? It's basically a mini Breeders' Cup a week from Saturday. One of the best cards of the entire year. We'll be covering it like a glove with the Power Picks. And then, of course, we have a fantastic website, hhhracingpodcast.com. Check that out. All right, I think that's going to take care of it. We're going to rock and roll and get right into it. So scrolling on the bottom of the screen, we do have 2 shows next week. Next Wednesday on Bettin and Boozin, we'll cover the Friday stakes day at Belmont Park, and then our flagship show a week from tonight will cover Belmont Stakes Day. And yours truly and Paul Halloran and Patrick Kunzel will all be on site in New York next weekend. So we're all very excited about that. Actually, I'll be broadcasting the Thursday show from probably a hotel room, maybe actually even Belmont Park, not sure, because I'll be there Thursday actually. So we'll TBA on the location, but the time is set. All right, let me bring in my co-host. First of all, from the wonderful state of Maryland, Mr. Pete Visco, and from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the Saratoga Special, who does not have his video on right now. Perhaps he's got a hiccup. We'll find out. Mr. Paul Halloran. Oh, there we go. How you guys doing tonight?
Excellent. There he is. There's that pretty face we know and love.
I thought I'd spare the viewers, Pete.
No, that's what they come for. That's why they're here. Come on.
You get to see your buddy next weekend, Paul. Several buddies. Cody's Wish. Are the Dormans going to be there next weekend?
Kelly Dorman will be there. Cody will not.
Okay, wonderful. That'll be nice. That Met Mile.
Oh my goodness,
Paul, wow. That's gonna be tougher in the Breeders' Cup Mile than Cody. It'll be Cody's Wish's toughest test for sure.
You might get a little.
The card is just.
I'm looking at people online saying that Tabe is going to be geared down. Could you tell them to keep talking like that, please?
Hey, you got one. You got one in the chat, Nick. I think Nick's a Tabe is going to roll, right, Nick? Throw that in the chat.
We also have Jim Pilars is here. T11 for Paul's big day. Very okay. Now here we go. Is it a senior moment? What am I missing? Oh my goodness. Wow. The big 6-0. Very exciting. Paul, I didn't know it was your birthday coming up. Another reason to celebrate next weekend at next weekend.
Howard, I'm thinking we should just set up shop in the paddock and do the show from there. Oh, the grandstand.
Sounds good to me. And we're going to have a young man from Bettin and Boozin, Mr. Patrick Kunzel, will be joining us for dinner all weekend. And so it's going to be quite the experience. Guys, let's jump right in. I don't want to take any more time. We got Hawthorne to cover. We got the NBA finals. Sorry about your Well, anyway, let's just move on to talk about horses. Yikes! Yeah. That was. I'll just say this: I didn't really have a rooting interest. Pete, I don't know if you had a gambling interest, but I was hoping for a better game. No. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Oh, congratulations, Nick. By the way, you want to put that comment up?
Oh my goodness! What is this?
Congratulations, Nick.
Nick, congratulations. What is going on with marriages and engagements these days? Everyone seems to be getting married or hooked up. Or Nick, congratulations, man. Really happy for you. That is going to be an awesome day for you, obviously. So terrific. Simon O'Neill's here. Maybe Simon, you have an Epsom Derby pick for us. Epsom Derby, pick for us Saturday. I hear there's a lot of things going on. Train labor strikes, and you think we've got issues in this country. Talk to Simon and people in the UK or Davy Lane. They've got animal rights protesters lined up and ready to go, and they've got a lot of issues. But anyway, let's jump right in, guys. We're going to go right to the pick 5 sequence. Actually, before we do that, race 5 and 6, guys, real quick. Let's talk about race 5 and 6, which is outside of the pick 5, Churchill Saturday. They have 2 grade stakes outside of the pick 5, guys. I'm glad they're outside pick 5, really small fields. I wouldn't say they're uninteresting races, but they are very small fields, and who the hell likes that? So let me share my screen right now, guys, and we're not going to show any picks on the screen. We're just going to go ahead and show the field. The first race we're going to very briefly talk about is the Regret Race 5. It's a grade 3. It's a field of 6. Pete, where are you going in the Regret Saturday at Churchill?
I was a little all over the place, actually. I think Mission of Joy makes the most sense, which is why she's 9-5. But there was 2 with a little bit of a price. So I thought the 1 just from the rail, there's a real lack of speed in this race. So I thought the 1 could potentially shake away. Hasn't really gone this long. Only 1 time on the turf with a relatively, a little bit of an easy lead. But the pedigree looks okay for the distance. So I thought maybe that could be 1 at a price. And then the 2 I thought was a little bit interesting. I know we're not going in depth, but in that last race had some trip trouble, looked like could have made some noise at 18-1. I don't know if you paid attention to that. I don't know if she would have done anything. I don't know if she would have got through, but it was against similar company, maybe a little bit better. So yeah. I thought maybe at a price, again, 5-1's a little lower than I even expected, but since it's such a short field. So I was all over the place.
Yeah, I thought there was actually a decent amount of trouble in that race that a lot of these horses are coming out of. Paul, who do you like in this race?
I picked the 3. I think Gray Emotions means business on Saturday. I think he has 2 horses in stakes. I think they both have a good shot. I picked the 5 second, Howard. I think you were on this horse last time, if I recall. I think he might have been one of your picks. I don't think he really ran that badly. He didn't finish, but it was a pretty competitive race. The 3 is one of the horses who got him. And I picked the 1.
Pete, grab a drink, by the way, Pete. It's already started.
Oh, I missed it. I was reading the PPs. I missed it.
The over-under on Paul was 12 minutes, and Paul went under.
Wait, does this count because it's not in the sequence? Maybe it doesn't really count. It's like a preseason game. It doesn't really count.
And I agree with Pete on the 1. I think she has a chance to hit the board on the lead.
People are new to the show. They're like, what the hell what is going on here? Misgendering people. I agree with everything you guys said. I don't know who's the horse to beat here. I guess it's Mission of Joy. That's who I'm going with. But Pete, I agree with you. A girl named Charlie was stuck on the inside in that last race. Like, we're not going to show the replays, and was like hemmed in and nowhere to go. I think she's a little bit sneaky here. I'm against Mrs. Astor, by the way. She just looks slow, at least on paper, but not by a lot. I'm a little bit against Papilio too. I didn't think Papilio guys had any excuses last time at all. So I'm going 3-1-5 in this race.
Yeah, on the 5 real quick. I was just gonna say, I wondered if the extra distance got to her a bit, and then this is even further. So that was my little concern, because she sort of hung a bit. Looked like she got a trip. Thought she got a winning trip, because I think I had her. Yeah, I definitely didn't have Heavenly Sunday. I think I had the second, third, and fourth place horses in that race. So.
Yeah, Heavenly Sunday was one of my few horrible. No, let me change that. A bunch of bad selections on Derby Day or Derby weekend for the most part. All right, guys, let's go to the others race. I don't know. My first thought is, why don't some of these horses in the True North, guys? Now, look, I guess it's about money or finding an easier spot. I don't know, but I thought this was a really tough race. I think there were some potential Breeders' Cup horses in this race, guys, and I was sort of hoping some of them would possibly go to New York for the True North, but apparently not. Let me show the field here. This is the Aristides. It's a 6 furlong stake race, 225,000. A lot of familiar names, only a field of 5. Paul, I'm going to have you go first. There's a horse in this race. Talk about horse for course. I'm not sure in my coming up on 30 years of betting, I've ever seen a horse for course more than Bango at Churchill. How about a 10-time winner at Churchill Downs? Incredible.
Yeah, he really is. He's a neat horse, and he's a millionaire. For a homebred millionaire, you don't often get to say, well, I guess Godolphin gets to say it all the time, but most people don't often get to say it. He is a really neat horse, and I got to give Greg Foley credit. This is definitely a step up from the competition he's been running with, but and I don't know where I picked him. I don't think I think I picked him third, but how much do you want to bet against this horse on this course? There have been other times where on paper he did not look like the horse and came through. I do agree with you, Howard, though. I think this is the classic. It's a small field, but a very, very competitive race.
Yeah, fantastic. By the way, we have a little special guest, and he's on for a reason. He was stuck in a little traffic, but now he's ready. Let's also joining us tonight, as planned, the host of Bettin Boozin, and also someone who knows a little bit about marriage or future marriage. Let's bring him on right now, Mr. Kyle Roscoe. Kyle, how you doing tonight?
Good, gentlemen. Hope everyone's doing well. And yeah, it's been an absolute whirlwind of a week this past 5 days. So
yeah,
just glad to be here.
Kyle, congratulations, man. We're all just really happy for you. I know if you watched the Ben and Boozin show or you paid attention at all to Twitter, Kyle got engaged this past weekend at Disney with his wonderful fiance, Emma. So, Kyle, we're really happy for you. We were just talking about the Aristides here. Pete, who'd you like in this race?
I originally liked Bango. I don't know about. I wanted to ask you guys. Were you guys surprised at the morning line that Bango was? I thought it would be Sibelius, Gunite, Bango in that order. Not that they're all really close, but it surprised me just a bit. Maybe it was the horse for course thing, but when I saw the odds, I was a little bit surprised just at the order of the morning lines.
I haven't seen them yet. What is he, Pete?
It's 9 to 5. Yeah, 9 to 5, 2 to 1, 5 to 2 on Sibelius. Well, I thought Sibelius would be the favorite, so that's what threw me a bit when I first saw the morning lines.
There was one of the TV stations down in Kentucky did a big feature on him this week. I think 11 would be a record for wins at Churchill Downs or something like that. He's going to take a lot of house.
He's going to take the money, so maybe that's
why. That makes sense. I love the horse, but boy, is he a bet against it 2 to 1.
Yeah.
Well, how about Johnny V getting on board?
Pretty cool. What's interesting about what you just said, Paul, the bet against thing is Sibelius and Gunite are, of course, coming back from overseas, and it's already been proven that that's overrated. They can come back and win, but if there is a spot for Bango, I think this is a very tough field in general compared to what he normally faces. But this is the time to do it, Kyle, when these two horses are very talented, Gunite and Sibelius. I mean, Sibelius won the damn thing. Gunite, actually, I think, has been a little bit disappointing. I actually bet him in both races, and I didn't think he had really a lot of excuses in either one. Bango's just a freak who has recency and loves Churchill, and actually, I think he should be the favorite because of all those reasons.
I mean, it would be really interesting to see a horse that, won the Golden Shaheen last time out and got third in the Golden Shaheen, coming back off a little bit of a layoff and not being the favorite, having the hometown hero be. But it will be extremely interesting to see how the money shakes out, considering how close these are, and not to mention that this is the start of the pick 6. So people then will have a little bit of indication on where to go with their money. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Gunite's been a little bit disappointing. I also bet him in the Golden Shaheen. Never really showed too much. I mean, he was obviously in contention the entire time, but never came up at the end. Sibelius with a good run, but Bango, again, as you guys stated, 10 wins, as Paul stated. It's hard to bet against that.
Yeah, I know he wants to be on the outs. Gunite definitely wants to be on the outside. I just think he's been a bit disappointing. All right, guys, let's get on to the pick five. Pick five is a good sequence. You got 4 stake races, a lot of big names, horses we've heard of before. I think there's some favorites that you can play against this weekend, Saturday. So even though the field sizes are not big, guys, I think this is actually an interesting time to take some stabs against, at least in my opinion. Let's see what the expert panel here has to say as I go ahead and bring up the picks here just a second of the first leg, which is race 7. There we go. All right, guys, here we go. You see our picks on the bottom of the screen. The late pick 5 Saturday at Churchill starts at race 7. It's with the Autobahn. It's at 350 Eastern. It's 225,000. 3-year-old restricted, 1.125 on the turf. We see a lot of familiar faces here. I will mention, and maybe you guys have some intel I have not heard yet. Number 6 Sharar is cross-entered in the Pennine Ridge Saturday at Belmont. I'm not sure where he's going. I would guess Belmont only because that's where Pletcher is sort of stabled at mainly. But and that would be a tougher spot though. So where Sharar goes might have a big effect in this race. Pete, we're gonna have you go first. You're going with Web Slinger, who of course ran a huge race and won the American Derby at big odds on Derby Day.
Yeah, it's a tough one because anytime you're relying on a closer, it's a little precarious, especially when you're talking about the favorite. And this horse is used to not being the horse that people are betting. Usually, used to more of the underdog. But I mean, if you just look at the improvement, I mean, if you look at the races ever since this horse in 2023 improving, at least from a buyer standpoint, plus from a result standpoint, that was a pretty big win. Yeah, that beat me in the Derby Day pick 5 because I didn't have Mage on the same ticket with Web Slinger. But I just think this horse is in great form. And in a field like this, the only thing that you worry about is it's pretty devoid of speed. So there's not going to be a hot pace up front. But since it's a shorter field, especially if the 6 scratches out, it's a shorter field. So Web Slinger, maybe you'll have a shorter run. And you just have to hope that nobody gets away if you like this horse.
He actually showed more tactical speed, I thought, last time, Pete. Maybe
yeah, he did.
Maybe he had to because he was on the far outside, and so Castellan decided to use him. But I'll tell you what, last time he was 23-1. Now you go from 23-1 to 8-5 morning line, Pete. He's the horse to beat, but boy, he is not a win bet for me, no matter what odds he is.
No, definitely not a win bet. But it's hard to leave off a pick 5 ticket. You just have to figure out, though, you don't want to go too deep in a race like this with a short field and low price horses. So it's a tough one.
We'll see if he can replicate. I think he's going to take a minor step backwards, but obviously I'm using him. I think he can win. Paul, you've also got Web Slinger. Again, we're not betting this horse to win, or I wouldn't suggest that you're saying people should bet him to win, but as a top choice, I'm assuming you have him as an A. I'm just looking at my notes. I mean, I have him as an A also. It's hard not to have this horse as an A. He just is the best horse on paper and is in great form.
Yes. And Howard, I would like to report, because it is my job to be the reporter. I just did text Mr. Pletcher, who informs me that Sharar will run at Churchill. So there you go.
Oh,
wow.
Okay.
Man, Paul Harry.
Breaking news on here. Fantastic.
Todd Pletcher on speed dial. Dang.
Yeah.
So he's going to be running at Belmont. Okay. Well.
No, Churchill.
No, Churchill.
Oh, you said Churchill.
He's running here. He's running here.
Oh, he's running here. My bad.
That's a good call, too.
Howard, you asked the question. People wanted the information.
No, I appreciate that. Okay, so that horse, the Pletcher horse, is running in this race. Surprised me a little bit, but it's definitely an easier spot. Thoughts, Paul, about this race in Web Slinger?
Howard, I watched that race last time, and like many people, I think, got knocked out of the pick 5 in the first leg.
Yep.
I think the horse ran really well. I know he was 22-1. I think it was a good field. I don't want to say, Pete, that Farbridge ran well and had some trouble and maybe should have won, because that will bring up a sore subject for you, both you and me, who would have hit the pick 5. I don't think this is that tough a spot. Unlike the last race, we don't know how good the 6 is. First time US, first time Todd. It is
Well,
interesting.
you just had Todd on speed dial. Why don't you just ask him, Paul?
Well, first, he probably doesn't know either, by the way. But I do think it's interesting that the horse has been training at Belmont and he's shipping to Churchill. So that probably tells you what he thinks of the spot. But anyway,
well, what is that? Well, what does that mean to you, Paul?
Well, it means to me that, and I haven't looked at the Belmont race yet. It means to me that he definitely
That's a good race,
this
Paul.
is an
It's
easier
tougher.
spot.
Farbridge is in there.
Farbridge is in
other
there. Yeah,
ones.
Farbridge. It's a good race, the one at Belmont.
I think he's picking an easier spot, guys.
This is an easier spot. This is an easier spot.
I don't have him in the top three, so obviously
I don't think this is that tough. I think Web Slinger is good, and I picked him, but one of the reasons I picked him is I couldn't come up with a really good alternative. I do think that was a pretty good race last time. He managed to win from the 12. He was the 11.
Hey, Paul, can I interrupt you a second? Sorry, yeah. On the screen, these are Todd Pletcher's stats with first-time imports. How about 3 for 27? This is not something that Todd does well. I think it's worth mentioning.
It's even worse it's even worse on 5 turf. Years. If you filter it for if you filter it for turf, it's even worse. If you add turf.
But now check him in graded stakes on turf, other than at Naira. And for some odd reason, and I don't know how you do that with the filter, but for some odd reason, he shows up pretty. Oh, there you go, 1 for 15.
So that's Pletcher first time with an import on the turf, guys. 1 for 15. Big play against, in my opinion, but I could be wrong.
It's predictably not that big a sample. I mean, he is not. When you think a horse is coming over, it's Motion and it's Chad and it's Brendan Walsh. You just don't think of that. It's just not in his wheelhouse, so to speak. So,
Nick brings up a good comment, guys. He's got Major Dude at Penn, which you talked about that horse last night, Kyle. Major Dude, and then Farbridge, the Pennine Ridge. So there's no reason for him to run at Belmont. He's splitting up his 3-year-olds, but of the 3 races, Kyle, did you think this race was weaker than the Penn Mile that you handicapped last night?
Honestly, it's hard to say because, I mean, obviously you have horses like Major Dude in there and you have horses, God, who else am I? Why is they're escaping me right now? But honestly, yes, I would agree that this spot's even easier than the Penn Mile. There's a lot of good shippers in that spot. There's a Chad shipping to that spot that also looks really tough. So putting this horse in against realistically a really nice horse in Web Slinger who won against a very nice field last time. I think this is just like, as Nick stated in the chat, I think this is kind of just the way it shook out. Maybe Sherrar is just the least talented of the 3 in Todd's eyes, so he sends him to the easiest spot that he can find, which I would take as a negative. But I watched the last race in Dubai. I actually really liked that race. He had a lot of traffic to get through, and once he got through, there's a pretty decent turn of foot coming through in between horses. Obviously, this horse is off a little bit of a layoff, and Todd's not the best, but I mean, we're talking about Todd Pletcher. I mean, it's not necessarily like he's the worst trainer by any means. So I'm willing to play in Todd I trust here. And I mean, maybe if this horse is going to be 9-5, I don't think I would bet this horse to win by any means, but it's definitely a horse I have to have on my ticket.
Pete, we had Craig Milkowski on the show not too long ago. If you look at the time form figures, guys, if you believe in them, he's getting 85 and 87. That puts it around like 70 as a buyer. I mean, this horse is slow, guys. Now, maybe he'll run off the screen and I'll be wrong. I'm going to use him very, very defensively. I don't like this horse. He's going to have to prove it to me. And that's my opinion. The 5, a lot of you guys have the 5 Desert Duke. Any one of you guys feel free to comment. I suppose this is the main speed and could wire the field. Does he class up? That's the big question for me. And you guys can chime in.
Mine was purely a pace scenario where if you could get this one on the lead and it goes soft and it's a soft lead and the other ones are sort of come from behind horses, so maybe this one shakes away. There wasn't a lot beyond that for me.
Well, guys, since I'm the only going against your buddy Scooby, very disappointed.
Well,
Pete.
Scooby,
I
you
have
know,
a Scooby.
Jackson has a Scooby Doo bathroom and a Spider Man bedroom,
Yeah.
so he's at the exacta cold. I should be playing. I
That's
should be
right.
playing 3-7. So maybe I'll have to put a little money on that just
All right. He's
from
got
Jackson's
blinks
bank
on.
account.
Pete, I
Yeah.
thought for sure you'd have this horse in the mix.
He's
in your
just
top
he's
three.
been disappointing.
Right.
When he's been getting killed, but that's been against some tough company. So and bad rides. So we'll see.
Guys, I got to defend Mendelssohn's March, and then we're going to move on. We can't show the replay because of the whole Churchill DRF thing. I know you guys have made fun of me a little bit, and probably fair enough, about these horses that are in between and they're claustrophobic. It's not as a big deal on the turf. It's a bigger deal on the dirt. But you guys watched the Mendelssohn March, the American Turf Race. He was in between horses the entire time. Not only that, guys, he was bumped hard at the start, and then he was bumped around during the race as well. So you have to watch very carefully. He's the 3 in that race. Go watch on YouTube, everyone. I think this horse has got some talent. I like McPeak. I like Brian Hernandez. I think he's going to be up close in a slow pace. And I think he's a little sneaky here, guys. Mendelssohn's March to me is much better than he showed last time. You got to watch the trip to believe it. I think he's interesting. I've got him on top trying to beat Webslinger, who to me is the absolute favorite in the race.
Real quick, Howard, on Mendelssohn's March. I always point this out for the viewers. The two bad races were without Lasix for the first time, and they were the moves up to graded stakes. So I don't know if it was the company or the Lasix or the combination of the two scared me off a bit. I had them at sort of a B level, but those were if you're picking nits, that was the one that sort of scared me a little bit with that one.
Yeah, Pete, you always make me second guess because
I don't because people forget the Lasix thing. People miss that one, and I don't know if people care about it.
I like that you do it, and it's good for our viewers. I didn't look at it, guys. There's so many other things for me to worry about. Maybe I should. Maybe it's a handicapping fault of mine that I gotta work on. Who the hell knows if that's the reason why we just don't know. Anyway, let's move on to the next race, guys. Race 8. There's our picks at the bottom of the screen. Kyle and I look at it exactly the same way. We're all sort of similar. We do all have the same horse on top, which is interesting because I wouldn't say it's any slam dunk in this race at all. We've all got the same pick, which to me is quite fascinating. Let me show the entries. It's the Shawnee. It's a grade 3. It's for older fillies and mares. They're going 1 mile to 16. It's a field of 8 with the morning line favorite, the number 6 Frost Point for Mott, Alvarado, and Godolphin. We are all going with Frost Point, which sort of surprised me when you guys sent your information. Paul, I have you go first. This is an improving mare who really ran well last time.
Yeah, she really is out. She's the light, the proverbial light went on last December, and it has stayed on. She ended the year with that, just an optional claiming win, but then, easy win at Aqueduct, and I thought she ran really well in a pretty competitive field last time. I'm a Hidden Connection fan. I picked her second, and she managed to lead that last race, which I was a tad surprised at. But I just thought Frost Point in this race, you're going to see her. She's going to make up a lot of ground here. She's in the
really
all Godolphin blue.
I think she had a chance in hell watching this live, and she exploded here.
I mean, and again, this is a good horse. And Green Up's not the worst horse in the world either. She does make up a lot of ground here, Howard, and the old proverbial taking 2 strides for every one. So
Boy.
I just think, 8 horses. She's posted outside. Junior should get the trip he wants. The 2 has some speed. Hidden Connection showed speed last time. The 4 has some speed. I think she gets the right trip and is in the best form.
Pete, what would you like to add to that?
I agree. No, I agree. I mean, I don't really, not too much. I do like the 2 races this year. Both were lifetime buyer tops back to back. So This horse just seems to be getting better. So why not?
And you've got the 4. I'm sorry, Paul's got the 4 and third. Is that Idiomatic, right? Idiomatic. This is the other Juddmonte. So you'd have to believe this one is going. Pete, right? To the front.
Yeah, this was one where I don't love the field, in all honesty. So I was sort of stretching after the 6 to find who I wanted in the second and third spot. I like that this horse it actually has some, the dirt form isn't that bad. Looked better on the synth, but maybe just might be in good form. And Past the Champagne's a nice horse, so it wasn't like she lost to a bum last out. And I like that work at Churchill, that 59-4 work. So, taking to the track, that seems like something where if you're concerned that, hey, maybe this one likes synth better, as long as she showed in the works that maybe she can handle this surface. Picks up Giroux, which I like. That's a little bit of maybe a jockey upgrade there. I don't know. In a field that I thought was devoid of high quality after the 6, I figured why not with this one.
She's a curling. Can't go wrong there, right, Paul?
Never, right?
Kyle, you and I both have Pauline's Pearl in second. She's, I've never been a huge fan of this horse, Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
And then I look at the lifetime earnings. I'd like to own this horse. 1.8 million. What a training job by Steve Aston. This is going to be one of the more underrated fillies and mares guys we've seen in the last 10 to 15 years. I mean, all she does is run well, pick up checks. She's just real honest, and she's a bit of a closer in a race that has speed, Kyle.
Yeah, and absolutely. And the last thing I actually wanted to get this in before Frost Point. That last race was also a 16th first line finish as well. So she had a 16th of a mile less to close that much ground at the top of the stretch, which is why I like her even more. But anyway, Pauline's Pearl, you said it yourself. She runs her race. She's extremely consistent. You can see maybe her best days are behind her with the Azeri and the La Troyenne last year. But this, like I said, this mare still gives everything she's got, and she will have the pace set up in front of her. So even if she's not as good enough to beat a horse like Frost Point, this horse is definitely still one that I would use underneath.
To me, this is mainly a 2-horse race. I like Frost Point more. Hidden Connection had her chance last time, and there seems like there's more speed. And also, last thing, we'll move on, guys. It's such a damn shame what's going on with Travel Column. She was a nice horse, and she's just completely, after Brad, after it was Cox and then Mott, and now with Paul Lobo, it was a fine trainer, but this horse just completely fallen off. It's just a shame. I used to like the horse, guys, but she's just in horrible form right now. So,
by the way, the 5 is one of my race horses, 63 caliber. She's a nice filly. She's tough. She's just, I don't know. She came back this year, and it's one of those where you're like, oh, I wonder if she's maybe done with racing at this point. We know that happens sometimes, and she was really disappointing in those last. She was, look at that. She was $1.40 against Pauline's Pearl and Hidden Connection 2 back, and just ran dreadful. It was in the mud, but was really a bad race.
Other than 3-year-old fillies earlier in their 3-year-old fillies, Paul and Pete, from January to April, I find are very, very fickle. Other than that, older mares, boy, they can just change on a dime to good to bad to worse to wonderful. It's just there are a bunch of 5-year-olds we just talked about. Frost Point's going completely the other direction as Travel Column, and maybe it's just interesting how horse flesh works and how some can improve so much more than others at a certain time of their career. Let's go on to the next race, guys. And Kyle, when I saw the name of this race, I was like, come on, Churchill.
I know.
We really got to do this, Churchill, but I guess they got to. It's the stakes, the grade 3. Everyone at home, you can read it for yourself. Sorry, still a little bitter, especially with Arlington being literally torn down, Kyle, in the next few weeks. I'm sure you're aware of. It's a mile 16th on the turf. This is, to me, the most wide open field of the sequence, which is hard to believe for some people, considering there's an 8-5 morning line. I guess set piece is tons the best here on paper. I totally disagree. Let's see. You can look at our picks at the bottom of the screen. Paul, I'm going to have you go first. You're the only one that's got the 3 on top. Classic Causeway. And this horse, Paul, I've had a strange relationship with this horse because in general, I don't like this horse, but sometimes he pops a big number. I don't even know if the connections really know what to do with him. Dirt, turf, how long do they go? I guess you're figuring back to the turf is the spot for him on Saturday.
Yeah, Howard, I could not agree with you more. I don't know that Kenny McPeak knows what the hell to do with him, but I will say that while his race 2 back at Oaklawn was okay, I think he's better on turf. He won the Belmont Derby last year. He beat Nation's Pride. He was third to Nation's Pride twice. Nation's Pride, I think, would be 1-40 in this race, or should be. Balnikoff is a good Billy Koch little red feather. I know he finished sixth, but that was a tough race. That race kind of fell apart late. I don't know. I agree with you also, Howard, that it's the most competitive race in the sequence. I have down for set piece needs pace setup. Anyone who thinks he's tons the best in this race, good luck. He could win, but if he doesn't get some pace to run at, he's not going to win. He's going to run like he did last time, get way, way, way behind and close for third. And, Giroux's a good jockey, but a speedster on dirt is where you want Giroux necessarily more than a turf horse closing from the back of the pack. So I don't know. I kind of defaulted to Classic Causeway because he's proven on turf, at least as a 3-year-old, that he can do it. He hasn't run on turf yet as a 4-year-old. The last race, he did not run well, but it was a pretty good field. I don't know. He's my very weak opinion here.
Paul, what is he going to do with Get Smokin'? I mean, Get Smokin' wants to go. The big question for me in this race is how fast are they going to go between these two? And does Classic Causeway, Paul, absolutely have to have the lead, or could he rate behind Get Smokin' and hold off the closers and win?
When I picked him, Howard, and I looked at the race for a while, I was actually thinking that way. This might be the race he doesn't have to be on the lead to win. Because I also believe that the one is going to go. And at a mile and a 16th, this horse, Classic Causeway's run all the way up to a mile and a half, right? So while he is a speed horse in those races, I think at a mile and a 16th, he certainly could sit off that horse and close.
Pete, I've got him third. You've got him. I just don't trust this horse as far as I can throw him, which with my bad back, it's not very far considering he weighs 1,000 pounds. He doesn't pass horses, and Get Smokin' has to go. Who the hell knows with the break, Pete? Maybe this horse is just going to wire the field, but I don't necessarily think so. And the other thing about set piece, Paul, watch the replay closely last time. Set piece was bottled up in the back of the pack. He did have a little bit of trouble and then really came on late. So I think you might be a little bit too harsh with set piece in the last time. He's obviously very capable, but you're right. He does need things to go his way. Pete, you are going with set piece. He's a real honest closer. And with any trip and any pace at all, he's going to be flying late.
Actually, can I give my half-assed Classic Causeway take real quick? Why I almost picked this horse on top was, and it speaks to what Paul was talking about. So if you look at last year, this horse seemed to be better on the turf. And if you went purely from like a buyer standpoint, looking at almost nothing else, 192 on the dirt this year, much better than his buyers last year. So if he's just improved, but he's a better turf horse and he improves sort of that much on the turf now, then I think maybe he's even better than we would expect on the turf. Now that's a lot of ifs and, it's a lot of question marks, but I figure in a field like this, maybe this is the time where he can rise up because of the favorite is a horse that might be stuck in the back. So if you want to go to set piece real quick, but
yeah, and I mean he's newly turned 4-year-old, basically.
That was it. Yeah, the 3 to 4.
Third start off the layoff. He's usually really good in the form cycle, Pete. Yep. So he might be sitting on his best race. But set piece, I think, is very live here. Also, I just don't like 8 to 5 though.
I mean, that's the thing. We talk about it all the time. It's hard to rely on a horse that is always stuck in the back and is so pace dependent. Now there is potential pace in here, so that can help. It's a little, this horse can. I mean, he's win, he's all or nothing, but he sort of classes up. I mean, you see the horses that he's lost to are pretty good. So it's not like he loses to bums. He loses to good fields, but you're going to be concerned if you bet this horse at 8 to 5, you're going to be concerned when he's sitting, 9 lengths back chasing, and maybe there isn't a hot pace for some reason. Then you're throwing your money away.
He's a very, how do I put this? He's a very unlikely, most likely winner, which sounds completely ridiculous, but like right on paper, he's the likely winner, but he just doesn't always get there is my point.
Yeah, he's not a likely winner. He's the best horse in the race, but he's never a likely winner because he has so much trouble always. But yeah, let somebody talk about the six mile.
Which means if he's, and he could win, but the way you're talking, if he's the favorite, you're supposed to try to beat him.
You're supposed to beat him, yeah.
Well, Kyle and I are trying to do that with Royal Patronage, Nick Feldman's top pick. Also,
is Nick Feldman thinking clearly though, Howard? Do we know that Nick Feldman is lucid 48 hours before? I don't know. 9 days before the big day. Is he lucid?
I don't think he's day drinking. He might be a little nervous about the whole marriage thing. I'm sure Nick will chime in on that.
He should be night drinking.
Kyle, I like horses. The Royal Patronage looks like he's improving. Second off the layoff. I guess this is a step up in class. Has some back class all the way back to Europe last year. Johnny V and great hands of Grand Motion. I like everything about this horse.
I mean, Grand Motion chipper, granted a while ago, but second off the newly turned 4-year-old ran a bang up race last time out. Could be completely improving. I think is going to get the trip in this spot. I mean, there's just every single box I was going through on this horse was getting ticked as I continued to go through the form. So, and especially if I can get all of 3-1, maybe even 7-2, this horse is definitely going to be. And if over 3-1 will be a win bet on this horse.
I thought, to me, about anyone could win this race except the 1 and 2. I think because the Classic Causeway, I didn't like Get Smokin', who's not very brave in general, and I just don't think Kentucky Ghost is good enough. To me, we'll see the pick fives here in a little bit, but I think it's pretty wide open race. I am not leaning on Set Piece at all. I can't trust him. Let's go to the next race, guys. We got 2 more races to talk about as I switch the banners here. Right there we go. Wow, Howard again. I'm out there on a ledge all by myself as usual, either to look like a genius or look like a fool. That's okay. That's how I roll. Kyle and Pete, wow, lockstep here. They both are 1, 2, 7, and Paul is on a limb also with the 5. Guys, we are all over the place. Let's let's go. I'll tell you what, let's go with Kyle and Pete first, since they've got the same picks. I'll let either one of you guys talk first as I go ahead and switch the screen.
Okay, there Kyle, we go. You take this one.
This Absolutely. Is the Blame. It's a grade 3 Blame who I've seen in person. Paul's seen in person recently also, I believe, at Claiborne. One of my favorite horses. Sorry, Pete. A mile and 8th on the dirt, 4-year-olds and up. This is a very interesting field of 8 with the more line favorite, the number 1, Rail and Roll. You guys know how much I love Rail and Roll. I've picked this horse many times on this show and has come through. I am not picking him today. I'll explain why after Kyle and or Pete talks about Rail and Roll.
I mean, I can tell you exactly why Howard's does not have this horse on top, but I'll leave it to him. But the horse ran a great race last time out, beat a really game speed bias. The pace was a little bit hot, but back to back triple digit buyers. I mean, I just think this race sets up for him again. I know he's coming back pretty quick off of the Pimlico special. I mean, it will be probably just over 2 weeks, maybe closer to 3. Actually, no, it'll be, because it's not. It'll be just over 3 weeks. But McPeak has brought this horse back a little bit.
Kyle. 2 weeks exactly.
My math does not check out. I blame the weekend. Don't worry about it. Too much alcohol is still hitting my system. But anyway, I just think the race sets up for him. And like I said, I know he's coming back really quick. McPeak does this with a pretty decent amount of his horses. So I do have faith in McPeak. I'm sure Pete has a stat on him now that he has this horse on top as well. But I just think the race sets up for him again. Like I liked him on top. Last time out, picked him because I thought the race set up for him. And this is just another bang kind of play where he sits behind, goes by, and hopefully doesn't make it as close as last time.
Pete, I could make the stat a little skinnier. This is 8 to 30 days, but his stats are pretty similar, like off a 2-week layoff. So he does come back and run his horses well in this like 14-day time period, Pete.
Yeah, you don't usually get concerned when he does it. It's something something he seems to have an affinity for. And I just think in all honesty, I just think this race came up pretty light, and Rattle and Roll is in just great form. And he's running like one of the top handicap horses. I mean, I'm sure he's like sort of a step below the top ones, but he's running as if he's one of the better ones. And again, I just don't really like anyone else in this field all that much. Not that he can't lose, obviously, because again, he's another one that's going to be coming off the pace. So again, you're always concerned about that, but there is enough pace in here, I think, for him to run into.
You guys got Masquerade second. We're going to move along. I just want to mention this horse too. Paul, I don't know of anywhere. I'm a little concerned. Maybe just that last race was one he needed, but I always get concerned as they get older. What happened last time? But he's interesting. I've got him in the mix. I think it's a pretty wide open race. Then you have Pioneer of the Nile guys in third. Paul, you're going with the number 5 Santine. Now look, everyone knows I picked this horse a few times on the show. This is the weirdest spot. I mean, there's no dirt for him in his pedigree. To me, Paul, and you're gonna have to convince me otherwise, it feels like Brendan Walsh is saying, okay, this horse isn't run well on turf. Let's just try something else. That's not usually, for me, an angle that I like, but he's got talent.
Yeah, I agree with you, Howard. It's I put on my amateur psychologist hat to handicap, trying to handicap Brendan Walsh, and of course it'd be too easy just to ask the Godolphin people.
You got him on speed dial, or you got the Godolphin on speed dial?
I don't have Brendan, but the Manhattan is next weekend. Howard, we'll be there for it.
Yes.
I don't think this horse ran terribly last time. He didn't, he ran off the board. I get it. I think Up to the Mark is a really good horse. Hong Kong Harry just went off the favorite the other day, got in trouble. I don't know. Brendan doesn't seem like the type of guy, let me just throw some crap against the wall and see if it sticks. He could have shipped to New York. The Manhattan's next week. I kind of disagree with the dirt pedigree comment. Distorted Humor was a really good dirt sprinter. Medaglia d'Oro was a dirt rooter. I know that they're throwing horses that are more inclined to turf. I get it, but I don't know. If it was someone else, Howard, I might buy into exactly what you're saying. With Brendan and Godolphin, I think they do things for a reason, and I think the reason is that this is a $225,000 race that's there for the picking. I think Rattle and Roll's in great form. I'm not positive he's a top level horse. I don't know. It's an off-the-wall pick, and I should say, before I go any further, who I'll be rooting for in the race. Howard knows who I'll be rooting for in this race, regardless of whom I bet.
And tell everyone who that might be.
Well, that would be Barbara Road,
of course,
who played a very important role on April 15th. As in, I would have been eliminated after race 7, so I will be rooting for the 3 no matter what happens.
You're gonna have to root really damn hard because he's just too slow in this race. But anyway,
whoa!
You heard me correctly. He was almost too slow in the lap in your Keelan race.
All right, I got a T.
That's all right. You give me a T. I'll tell you who I think might be fast enough, and this is my wacko. Call me fast, guys. There's one angle. Well, there's one particular thing I like a lot about this horse. I've talked about it on this show, and it's been very successful angle for me. That is horses that all of a sudden change their style and do it successfully. This was basically a speed horse. If you look through his numbers and his PPs, he's basically a speed horse. And last time in the Ben Ali, and I'm going to show the race real quick. For the first time in a while, with La Peru, he closed. Rattle and Roll is the 5. Call Me Fast is the 3. And I know Rattle and Roll wins this race with a perfect trip. There's the 5, but Call Me Fast is the 3 right there. And I don't think he lost by that much, really. He's right behind him. He got a perfect trip. Here's Rattle and Roll. But guys, Call Me Fast is a newly turned 4-year-old. This was the first time in La Peru. He's going to be, 5 times the price as this horse on Saturday, and he loses by, he wasn't beating him, obviously, but he loses by, a length and a half? I don't know. If that's the difference that Call Me Fast has to make up, guys, I'll take my chances. Not only that, I think Call Me Fast has every right to be better in this race than Rattle and Roll. And I love Rattle and Roll. I don't know. He's nothing special. I know Pete made a great point, Pete. You don't really have to be that special in this race. I get it. But this horse to me is fascinating. He's improving. I like the mine shafts. He's got distance. He's got no distance issues at all. I don't know. That's my crazy thought. Anyone else got a thought before we move on to last race, guys?
No, the only thing I'd say, Howard, is your reasoning is exactly why I loved Barber Road last time. He completely and I told Raylu when Raylu asked me why I loved the horse so much after he won. I said because you rode him so differently in the last race, which was the Oaklawn race. Complete change of style, and he obviously did the same thing last time. So I hear what you're saying.
I almost picked Pioneer Medina, but Pete, you convinced me not to, even though you didn't say anything to me recently. But you have said very accurately, distance, no bueno for this horse. He just cannot get the job done, anything over a mile 16th. And although he was pushed last time, if he wins Saturday, it wouldn't shock me, Pete. I am using him because I think he might get loose on the lead Saturday, but he's tough to trust at the distance, Pete.
Yeah, I was really reticent to even put him in third. I actually wanted to put the 4, but I didn't really care that much. You two?
We're thinking exactly
we're
like
on the same. Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I don't really, the third spot to me is a toss up. I really like the 1. So the 1 and the 2. So the third spot was between the 4 and the 7. But yeah, I don't like the 7 going this long. Cut him back and I'll pick them like I usually do, but not at this distance.
Guys, let's go to the last race of the card. We got Jim Miller weighing the bullpen. We got the NBA Finals probably starting about tip-off somewhere probably around 15, 20 minutes would be my guess. Race 11, main special. Probably have to go deep in this race. It's a pretty wide-open field of 10. Moreline favorite is actually the first-time start, number 2, Methodology, who's definitely got some pedigree that we can very briefly talk about for Brad Cox. You see our picks on the bottom of the screen. We got a lot of 9s and 10s and 1s and 2s all over the place. Pete, all of you go first. You've got Zeitlos the 10 for Asperson and Drew, as does Kyle. You guys are buddies today. The two.
We're in lockstep, Kyle. Me and you.
Hell yeah.
That must mean I'm picking a lot of favorites. Maybe I don't know if that's what that means, but yeah, I think I'm about, when we get to our pick 5s, I think I'm about 7 deep in this race. So I have no really huge lean one way or the other. I thought the 10, we switched to Giroux, so that's not too bad. I don't love the post coming from the outside, but at least this horse in the first race in 2023, going from 2 to 3, was much improved, ran a really nice race, just lost to a horse who looks on paper to potentially be really good. Scylla, I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Scylla, but it just looks like a pretty good horse potentially. Mm-hmm. So I figured maybe that's not going to
interrupt a second.
Yeah. No, please, go ahead.
This is for the viewers. Paul, I don't know if you felt this way. This is the main reason I don't have the 10. This horse can win, Zeitlos, but this field last time, other than the winner, was ugh. Look at these buyers here. They came back and ran not very well. So I think it is fair to say, Pete, although your horse can win, that of the contenders in this race that have run, I think this horse is coming out of the weakest field.
No, and the only thing I didn't mind about it, if you go to the standard chart there, the standard chart button, the only thing I liked is that he was, or what are these? These are she's. She was way. Well, that was more of a. I didn't even know. Yeah, they haven't run enough for me to know who they are.
Look under the saddlecloth. Yep, it's a she. All right. Yeah.
She was way ahead of the rest of the field. So it's not like she struggled to beat them. She was 6 lengths ahead of the next horse. So she was much the best there. And again, I don't have a ton of confidence in this race, so I'm not going to sit here and say I love this horse one way or the other.
Kyle, you like this horse. You want to talk about the first time start real quick, Kyle? Methodology, who is a half. I'm assuming you guys looked this up.
Mm-hmm.
An innovative idea, was a nice, although more distance of the dam. But how about a half to Matarea?
Mm-hmm.
And business model was a nice horse too, by the way.
Yeah, just the bloodline really speaks to why this horse is most likely going to be the favorite. Although, obviously, a lot of people are. You know how these people, you know how the people bet, especially on Churchill, where you get Godolphin, Cox, Gaff Leone, and a horse that's half to 2 really nice horses.
Yeah.
By Uncle Mo. It just really sets up for what I call the knowers to be in full fledged out. Nothing nefarious. I saw that face, just people that know that this horse is going to run extremely well. Call him what you will, but this horse just sets up really well breeding wise. It's she is working well as well out at Keeneland, ships over from there, a very hop, skip, and a jump over to Churchill. And I think this one's definitely going to have to be on your ticket.
All right. Paul, you've got the horse on top. You have the 9-second, Paul. I've got this horse on top, Little Prankster. I thought ran well last time. I think Bauer is underrated. I like the outside post, and it's been working well. It just seems very logical to me.
Yeah, I think, obviously you got to use the 9 and 10. They're the ones, the best of the horses who would run. This is a race where the board's probably going to be able to help you. It doesn't help us in the pick 5, but this horse, Howard, I was just thinking the day that you and I were over at Rice Road with Johnny Burke from Godolphin. Remember he mentioned there's a couple of other good ones ready to start to go back out into training. I wonder if this is one of them, because this horse worked 4 days later on the training track at Keeneland and has had a series of work since. But, the fact that Brad's starting him at 7 furlongs, obviously Uncle Mo by out of a Bernardini mare.
Yeah.
Obviously had some issues. He had to have been over at Rice Road with Johnny at some point, Howard, because he is a late starting. She is a late starting 3-year-old. I almost made it through. So again, let the board dictate what you do in the race. But
yeah,
I don't think either of those two horses on the outside who have run, I don't think they're bad, and I don't think either of them are great. I think they're kind of middle of the road. You got to use them all. I'm with you, Pete. I'm 5 or 6 deep.
I'm using them all, Paul. Yeah. Using everybody almost.
I'm my only concern with methodology, and then we'll show our picks, guys. Maybe she wants longer, just based on the breeding. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, Cox knows how to get a horse ready, and plus the inside, it's not the easiest spot. The board will tell if she's 9-5, Kyle. But if she's like a 7-2 lukewarm, then we'll see. I think the board, of course, we don't know that before the pick 5 bet. Guys, let's get to our pick 5s. Here are our pick 5 tickets. We're gonna rattle and roll through these actually quickly, and then we'll go right to Jim Miller. Pete Miller, we could get on too from California. We'll leave you guys on with Jim for literally like 30 seconds. Kind of want everyone to see something with Jim on the screen. And then we'll talk Hawthorne. Paul, your pick 5 real quick, guys. 5, 6, 7 with 4, 6, 7 with 3, 4 with 1, 5 with 1, 2, 7, 9, 10, $90, Paul.
Yeah, as we just talked about, spreading at the end, and the penultimate leg is obviously an issue. I did use Rattle and Roll, and I did use Santine, whom I like, who I think is going to be a decent price, but you could easily make a case to go deeper there. But I think that's probably going to have to be the get by leg. Otherwise it's basically the horses I picked, when we were talking about the races.
Pete, you're going 5, 6, 7 with 6, singling Frost Point with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, singling 1, Rattled and Roll. And Pete's like, I'm so freaking sick of losing the last leg, damn it. I'm going to go real deep. When I saw that, Pete, that was the first thing, like, ooh, I understand that so well. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, $60.
Yeah, and it was one where I put the ticket together before I saw the morning line. So I'm like, I'm not sure who I'm going to leave in, who I would leave out, depending on the odds. But I like Frost Point enough in that second leg to single. I think Rattle and Roll sort of lays over the field. There's other horses that I would play on sort of a B line, but this does have a potential to be a little bit chalky. So I would actually go skinnier than this on sort of an A ticket. In that first leg, maybe not the best ticket with the 6 and the 7 in there, but I wasn't sure how to choose between the two. And then in that middle leg, there's a couple horses I like. I mean, I do like Classic Causeway. I like some of the other ones. If you get I think the 4, 5, and 6 might be prices. I don't have that one up in front of me. So that's maybe where I'm hoping to get a price either in that third leg and in the last leg to sort of cover for the two favorites that I have singled.
I'm glad I have tissues nearby. Pete is fading Scooby. Scooby is officially out of the family. Well, not
Never,
no, he's actually
never,
still in the
no.
bathroom of Jackson's bathroom. But
Scooby's around. Scooby will
He'll
be
be
on,
back.
on one of the backup tickets if I go that way.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. I can't lose and tell my son that Scooby won and I
No,
lost. So
we
I can't
can't-
do that to him.
We cannot have that.
I can't do that to him.
Kyle, 2567 with 367 with 67 with 1 singly round roll with similar to Pete with 1, 2, 5, 7, 9, 10, $72.
Yeah, very similar ticket to Pete. The only thing is I'm adding more horses in the Shawnee. I think Frost Point is the most likely winner. I have Pauline's Pearl in there, and I have Connection just in case something wonky goes. The next race, I couldn't. I was actually too deep in both races, and I was deciding which race to single, which race I liked more. Royal Patronage and Set Piece are in the third leg, and then I singled Rattle and Roll. I think, like I said, I think he's just in great form, and I think he really, as long as he's ready off the 2 weeks, I think he's definitely the most likely winner on the card for me. And then I'm 6 deep in the last leg because I agree with all of you that race can go any which way.
Guys, we're not gonna play the did Howard singly one game. We're gonna just move along. There's my ticket right there. I did single. I singled Frost Point, guys. I'm 2, 3, 6, 7 with 6. That's Frost Point with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think the same horses that Pete had, I believe.
Yep.
With
exactly.
1, 4, I'm throwing in Call Me Fast. Is that the name? I think he's interesting. With 1, 2, 9, 10, $80. I don't much. I think Frost Point is a potential Breeders' Cup horse, guys. If she continues to develop, the fillies and mares this year are not as strong as they have been. I think she's fascinating. That turn of foot she showed at Keeneland, that replay, guys, was eye-popping. And now she has more time to rest, and I think she could run a big race, or maybe she was just a one-number horse. We're gonna find out, guys. Before you guys leave, I'm gonna bring on not quickly because we're going to talk to Jim for about 15 minutes, but let's bring on, hold on a second. You guys know I got to bring the banner up. Otherwise, I'm going to be disappointed in myself. There it is. The director of racing at Hawthorne Racecourse, Mr. Jim Miller. Jim, how you doing tonight?
Pete Miller, Jim Miller. It's a he, it's
Whatever,
a she.
right?
It doesn't really matter. You know what?
Doesn't matter.
Tip-off's in 15 minutes. People are going to get focused on that soon anyway.
Well, and on that note, I want to show everyone a 1-minute clip, and something very big is happening at Hawthorne in a few weeks, Jim. I think you know what I'm talking about. Let's watch with sound this 1-minute clip, everyone. Please enjoy about something that's coming up at Hawthorne Racecourse. And I do need to make sure, guys, that the sound is on because I always freaking do this. Sorry about that. So let's make sure the sound is on because that would be even more embarrassing. Okay, it is on. Here we go, guys. Enjoy.
No sound.
Yeah, no sound.
Howard, no sound.
No sound?
I don't hear anything.
No, I don't hear anything.
No sound, guys?
Nope.
I want to add audio to the guys just cheering on their horses there. We can just.
They said
I mean, that guy was getting somebody home. That one.
Oh my Lord!
He was riding that thing all the way to the wire.
On. All right. Well, Jim. Anyway, there's a contest going on.
Yeah, there's some contest happening.
Sure, tab
You're
audio.
the sound, Jim. You're the
I'm
sound.
the sound for the contest. So on the 25th.
Guys, let's try this. I'm sorry, Jake. Can we try this one more time, guys? Tell me if there's sound. Right, there should be sound. Let's try this one more time. Should be good this time.
Right.
Good.
There we go.
Hawthorne is probably the best value out there for cash tournament play. If you're serious about contests and you want to experience the NHC, you have to find a way to get to Hawthorne.
Oh, who's that guy?
That's what happens. Hawthorne contests are the best value in contests. There's no entry fee. Hawthorne is giving away seats. You have to play in those events because we all know what the cost of an online NHC seat is.
Got some free entries come out to Hawthorne, so I made my first trip and had a great time. If you're playing contests, Hawthorne is a great spot to be. There's no take out of the contest. It's a great place for horse players to either qualify here or play in some live money contests.
There it is, Jim Miller. Hawthorne contest in 3 weeks.
It's important, guys. I mean, the no entry fee is important. Live money is important. It's how players want to play these contests, the ability to play the racetracks they like, play an open bankroll style format. And guys, we give away over 20 seats to the NHC each and every year at Hawthorne. So the NTRA has been a great partner. NHC has been a great partner, but we do contests in the spring. We're doing the online contest. We have this contest. We always have the contest around Thanksgiving as well. And then you saw what we did out there at the NHC last year with having the live broadcast. So maybe they'll actually invite me this year. We'll see what happens for that. Because everybody else, I mean, it's like we're racing or I have something else. Last year, I think I had the USTA board of directors meetings, but when you carry that director of racing title, there's a lot you have to do. They all get to have the fun with you guys in Vegas, but yeah, the contests are going to be great.
And Jim, not only that, something else happened. Jim,
yes.
What's this?
Yes. So I don't take vacations at Hawthorne. I haven't had a vacation in many years, but it's because I coach youth baseball. And this group of kids is they're 16 right now. I've had most of these kids since they were 8. So to see these kids come about, to see these kids grow up, to see everything that they do just in how they've progressed. What I do instead of a vacation is I'll take some partial days 5-6 times throughout the course of a year to coach these kids if there's a little overlap. So yeah, we started out our first tournament of the season last weekend. We actually lost the first game of the tournament 9-0. Then we came back. We won 8-3, 10-1, 10-0. Our last 3 games, our kids threw complete games. I was really proud of them. So it's a whole lot of fun. It's very rewarding to coach these kids, and it was a great time. Just seeing their smiles on their faces really made it well worth it.
Yeah, it's very cool. Congratulations to Coach Miller
Thanks.
and all the boys. Kyle, Pete, Paul, we're going to let you go because I got to talk to Jim quickly. And then, Cal, you and I have a certain establishment that we're going to go to watch the NBA Finals Game 1. So we'll let you guys go. Pete,
Howard, real quick, I just didn't want you to miss the comment. Simon put the Epsom Derby, his Epsom Derby picks in the chat. I didn't want you to miss it if it got floated too high up.
And Waipiro. There you go. It starts at 7:30. Got a huge the Epsom Derby. Thanks, Simon. Appreciate it. Kyle, Pete, Paul, good luck on Saturday, guys. Have a great weekend. Take care.
See everybody.
All right, bye-bye. All right, Jim, we're going to rock and roll if you don't mind through this race. We got the NBA playoffs coming up here, and so we're going to be brief. I'm not going to show the PPs today, but we've got, first of all, there's a carryover. You know what? Hawthorne's been fascinating, Jim, because it just seems like there's one race that was just tough to have. And I know there's another carryover on Sunday. I believe it's a pick 5 carryover, not the pick 4, though, correct?
It was shocking because the only live horse in the pick 5 was the horse that opened as the favorite in race number 5 from the barn of Larry Ravelli. Yet that horse wins by 6. Nobody had it covered for the pick 5, so carry over $8,000 into race 1 Sunday. High 5 at the end of the card, about $80,000. And with the 15% takeout, there's just so much value in the pick 5s, pick 4s everywhere, all the way around.
So the carryover is the early pick 5 starting in race 1.
Pick 5 starting in race 1. Yep.
Okay, just let everyone know that. So, and that's on Sunday. 30-40K in the pool? Somewhere around there?
Last time we had a carryover like that, we had 45,000 in the pool. So yeah, 45 to 50,000 additional in the pool, I would expect.
All right, so very interesting. The weather's going to be real nice here in Chicago all weekend. They'll be on the turf for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I'm on my side screen here. I'm getting to race 5. Let's talk about the I'm going to show the Equibase entries. At least people have that. Jim, let me get to it right now. The first race here comes up here. You see Jim's picks on the bottom of the screen, and then we'll show your pick 5 ticket. It's an allowance race. They're on the turf. The rail is 10 feet out this time, so just out a little bit. What do we got? Non-winners, and then 2X for 3-year-olds older. Got a nice field here of 9. The Moyline favorite is the number 7, Power Through. I love when the Illinois breds are the Moyline favorites. You're going to go actually with Loring Park, a Minnesota bred. Love it.
Yeah, I'm looking at this race, Howard. It's one of those things. This is going to be the first day where we're at 10 feet for the turf. So kind of evens things out a little bit. Although the turf's played relatively evenly throughout the course of the meet, it's just a weird race because Slava Ukraini can show speed. Simple Logic can show speed. Power Through can show speed. And then the 5, Dance Some Mo, is really interesting. This horse ran in the Shoemaker Mile 2 starts back. And now you're over here at Hawthorne and a horse that can show some speed as well. So to me, everything sets up for the closing move of Loring Park. This is a horse that ran 2 really good races at this distance over the course last fall. Joel Burns had himself a very good meet. This is a Minnesota bred that he decided to stay at Hawthorne to run on the turf instead of head up with the rest of the string to Canterbury. So trainer intent is always very important. And that's why I really like Loring Park here in race number 5.
I was just going to say I'm a fan of Canterbury Park as well. And the fact that keeping this one here means a lot to me. So I think that horse, the number 5, Loring Park, to open up the pick 4. Fascinating on Sunday.
You're going to be up at Canterbury this summer, aren't you?
I will. You know what? I was going to save that. I emailed it out to people, but
Okay.
I will be live there for a big race night, and we'll be doing a live podcast there. I'm very excited. We got a lot of things going on. I'll be at Belmont next week. I'm all over the place, Jim. Why not? Right? What the hell?
Canterbury's such a great racing atmosphere. I love it. Every time I've gone up there, they're so welcoming. They're always great crowds, and I really like the racing there.
Yeah, Canterbury Park's great. Race 6, starter allowance 5,000, 5.5 on the dirt. You probably want some speed signed on, and I'm assuming you want some horses that are going to be up front here. Wide open field that you've made here with the morning lines. Try again, 3-1 favorite. You're going with the 4 Barefoot Bootlegger, Indiana bred for Rian and Centeno.
Good luck picking a winner in this race, and you'll see when you get to my pick 4 ticket.
Oh, it sounds like the all ball.
It is the all ball race because it's so tough. But here's the thing. I mean, I made the 3-1 favorite on a horse that 2 starts back at this level, won at 13-1, and then was just 63-1 in that last out. So Barefoot Bootlegger, the 4. What's interesting about this horse is it became a different racehorse when it turned back to a sprint and those starts 2 back, and all of a sudden 2 really good figures, tied together some races. John Heron is starting to improve on his stock. He had a great victory today in an optional 40 with a horse by the name of Pat's Property. And this horse kind of suits this level. I don't worry about the distance. And I think Barefoot Bootlegger could be very tough in race 6.
Someone mentioned in the chat, the contest, they do have to be at an OTB. You cannot play that online. Just want to clarify that. Correct Jim?
Yep. At the OTBs. Okay. And we have 16 of them. So there's a lot of options there.
Yeah, but you do have to be in the Chicago area, folks. And I think Hawthorne's going to look into possibly changing that in years to come. But for right now, you do need to be at an OTB here in the Chicago area. There are many of them. Race 7, claiming 62.5, going 2 turns, a mile 70 yards. You got the morning line big field of 10. Morning line favorite is number 1, Awesome Willie. You're going with the with the 4, Egomaniac for Mason and Felix. Love the name.
And Egomaniac probably needed that last start. This was a horse coming in from Oaklawn Park, came over to Hawthorne, really didn't even get to step foot on the racetrack before running that race. So now a race under its belt. This is a race that has a whole lot of pace too. And again, track playing evenly, a horse that should come from out of it. You get a little bit better price. I think Egomaniac comes charging at him in the lane.
Archie bred. But, you know, that's the great thing about Hawthorne as I switch to the last race here, Jim. You got trainers from all over the place. You got horse coming from all over the place. Kudos to you and everyone involved with Hawthorne for bringing in a lot of different horses from different circuits when it's very competitive. You got Prairie Meadows going now. You got you got Indiana Horseshoe. I'll tell you what, it's hard, and the stock is down throughout the country. It's been that way for years. So kudos to you guys for a nice big fields here on Sunday.
And the thing that I really like too, our horsemen have supported us, and by supporting us, Howard, here's the good thing. With the bettors supporting our racing, what we're able to do is we've been able to generate more money. So actually with the next condition book that's coming out in a couple of weeks, we're doing a nice purse increase of about 18%. So that'll be really good for the horsemen. Hopefully draw some more horsemen in, but that's really going to be a nice boost for our horsemen here in Illinois.
18% increase. Wow, that is healthy. Very nice. Correct. That's fantastic. Maiden 17.5 closes out the pick 4 on the turf. Ooh, that sounds real tricky. Just with that alone with the condition. Rails 10 feet out. Another 10-horse field. I got to bring this full screen here, Jim. Play this pick 4. Everyone, look at these field sizes at Hawthorne on Sunday. If you are not playing Hawthorne's pick 4 is pick 5 out. The price have been big. It's really high quality racing. It's underrated. This field is tricky. Obviously, you got a more line favorite of the number 7, Prada's Miracle, and you're going with the 8, another Prado or Prada. This Pretty in Prado for Boyce and Giles.
For those in Illinois, they know who Fort Prado is, the sire of this racehorse.
Awesome
and
horse.
Fort Prado was very good on the turf. And Pretty in Prado has yet to step foot on the grass. This is a horse that finally gets turf. Should love it. And Michelle Boyce's barn got off to a little bit of a slow start, but the last couple days, yesterday on the turf, Katie Milady wired a field. Today on the turf in the last, a horse by the name of Journeyus, just trying the turf, almost wired the field. So Boyce horses are starting to wake up. This is a horse that has the potential to go out there, be loose and lonely on the front end, and if that's the case, could possibly steal the race at a decent price.
I love hearing all that. It looks like there are deficit prices abound on Sunday. Let's take a look at your pick for Jim. I love it. What? $10.50.
Yes,
wow.
sir.
Jim, I know you got a daughter going to college, but isn't she on scholarship or something?
She is. I love it. She was out of the house at 5:30 this morning to go run 5 miles.
Man,
so I was
that's
proud
awesome.
of her.
6 with all, with 3, 4, 9 with 7. Really cheap, really affordable. Hit it a bunch of times if you want. He's got an all ball and 2 singles. Very creative here, Jim.
Well, and think about this: the 2 singles. The single in race number 5, Loring Park, is 5-1 in the morning line. The single in the last race that I had Pretty and Proud of is another horse that isn't the favorite. That horse also 5-1 in the morning line. If you get those 2 home, you got the all ball. So then it's really going to come down to race number 7 there. But I think race is set up for both of these horses. Loring Park gets a ton of pace to chase. Pretty and Prado gets a race where there's no pace to go after this one. So hopefully the right setup turns out for a nice return for just $10.50.
I love it. Very creative, Jim. Give us, as we close out here, give us a NBA Finals pick. Who's going to win and how many games?
Everybody has been saying the Heat can't do it. So I'm going to stick with the Heat. I think it's going to be a great series. I think it actually goes 7, and the Heat find a way to get it done. This was a team the Bulls had beat, and then the Heat all of a sudden just rose up, and they keep battling. They're going to be such a heavy underdog, but they keep finding a way to do it.
Jimmy Buckets, man. He's a gamer. I'm going Nuggets in 5. I think they're going to way outclass. I think Miami was.
They should. On paper, they should
get there. They're rested. If Miami wins more than 1 game, I'll be shocked, frankly, but we'll see. Jim Miller, really appreciate it. I just actually talked to Dakota today. I hear there might be some exciting things going on in July with this podcast at Hawthorne. Another little swimming in the pool party happening in July, and I'll see you in person in a few weeks at the Hawthorne Invite. So a lot of great things going on, carryovers, Jim. A lot of things going on great with Hawthorne now this summer.
Yeah, you got it. Really good racing, Howard. Go enjoy the game. Say hi to Kyle for me, and we'll see who's victorious tonight.
We'll do. Thanks a lot. For Jim Miller, Kyle Roscoe, Pete Visco, Paul Halloran, your host, Howard Krabs, episode 263 of the HHH Racing Podcast. Good luck with your bets at Churchill and Hawthorne. Enjoy the NBA Finals. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.